All right. So, I think this might be fun to do with a little bit of time we have remaining before we switch over to DL. Let's do a Barracks tour. Let's take a look at the units that I've actually plus 10 and why I did that. Let's first get on a team that doesn't have some plus 10 so we can actually see in detail. MTV Cribs, that's right. And yeah, Dr. Dre won. So I guess the way we'll do this is I'll go through the units and I'll say how I feel about them, and then whether I would recommend investing in them as of Heroes 2019, okay? So first up, Lave attained. Everyone should have a Lave attained. She is so dumb. Like, you need support, you need to be able to keep her buffed, and you need some pretty arguably expensive toys with distant counter or things like Gale Force or Special Spiral or however you choose to build her. But the Blade is really, really strong, and it's going to scale infinitely too. She's an infantry unit, so she has synergy with Legendary Azura. And yeah, ever since I finished Lave attained, there's like no content that Lave attained does not outright trivialize except for Aether Raids. If I had to point to a strongest unit in my barracks right now, it would probably be Lave attained. Even more than Legendary Tiki, even more than Serdar. Lave attained is absurdly broken, and if you decided to invest in her in 2019, I don't think it would be a bad decision. Next up, we have Marth. Marth's a support boy. He's 3/4 pool, anti-dragon. He's there to help his friends and kill the dragons occasionally. There's not much else you could really hope for, right? Whenever we get Red Infantry Duel, Marth is going to be an excellent unit for Arena. But as is, with this set, I would replace this seal, because the seal's kind of mediocre, but you know.
The circlet I wear? A gift from
someone near. Oh, dear to me, not near to me. The ability to stack buffs is like the current meta in Fire Emblem Heroes, and Marth can do that while also being a competent fighter. He's also cheap to build too. Like, you don't need to give him chill speed, he doesn't need Aether. He's honestly just fine with drives and his weapon. I would say plus attack Lave attained over a plus speed Lave attained, if you have the choice. DT, is there anyone on the old units banners you want to plus 10? Probably, if anyone, it would be Ira, but I don't think I'm gonna have the orbs to do it. Zacchaeus. This is gonna sound controversial, but I'm gonna get something out of the way right now. I do not think that investing in Zacchaeus makes sense, and I do not think he's a particularly useful unit as of Heroes 2019. He is pretty roundly outclassed in the premium armor category by units like Idun and Halloween Murr, and he's honestly just in a very awkward position where he's too frail to actually sustain multiple rounds, and he's too slow to be an effective player phase threat. That's right, Drillolian, he has been Ryomed, kind of. Now, I have gone above and beyond to patch him up and give him Special Fighter and DC and all kinds of fancy toys, but I just don't think it's enough. Zacchaeus does have the flexibility to run something like Armor Smasher if you want him to be an anti-armor sniper, but I just don't think that's worth it for the amount of orbs that it takes to plus 10 him. If you want to use Zacchaeus, you're doing it because of Black Luna, and Black Luna's great, but I don't think it's 2,000 orbs great. Flip that around, though, and we have Ares. If Lave attained is super broken, then Ares is Lave attained's free-to-play option, right? Lave attained's expensive, she's 5-star exclusive. Ares does almost the same thing, almost just as well, but with slightly weaker synergies, slightly worse skill access, and slightly worse base stats. Outside of that, he's outstanding. Like, I say Ares is the free-to-play option, but, like, that does not detract from his power at all. checkmating people with DC Vantage Ares is not particularly difficult, and it's very, very effective. If you want to build a DC Vantage unit and you are free to play, or if you just like using melee cav, Ares is completely unique because he is the only unit in the game that can abuse Special Spiral and Vantage, and that alone makes him hang with the best of them probably forever. Highly recommended. Adult Tiki. So this is like the old school, the old school Adult Tiki. Personally, I think she's aged pretty well. You have the option of running her anti-dragon set or her default Lightning Breath set. We all know the deal with these by now. 2017 builds for 2017 content. But hey, Steady Breath dragons are still pretty cheap, they're easy to make, and they put in a lot of work. Not much you can complain about, right? What else do you want out of your unit other than cheap and effective? Mail Morgan. I have no idea why I built this unit. I gave him Wind Sweep, I gave him Phantom Speed. I wanted to try to make his personal weapon work, but I don't know. I think Mail Morgan's in a very bad spot right now, where his role just isn't necessary. It's better performed by other units. Aversa, in particular, is a much stronger support mage. And as far as offensive red mages go, Tharja is, like, broken. Tharja's Hex has pushed her over the top from good to great, and Mail Morgan is decidedly less powerful. He has saved me a few times, like this set in particular is fast enough to sweep the occasional legendary Alm, depending on the speed buffs involved, which is great. But I don't really think he needs to be plus 10 to be that effective. I think building a Mail Morgan, having one in your roster makes sense. Making him plus 10, though, probably not. Mega Versa. Aversa is probably the best Grail unit to plus 10. I don't think there's a lot of disagreement there. If only because she's one of the few Grail units that needs to scale. Now, I've gone over the top bananas here and given her only premium skills, basically, to let me use her in both AR and Arena, depending on how I want to use her. Not necessary, though. Aversa's base kit's really good. You can give her some budget options like Renewal in the B skill or Axe Breaker, and she's a fantastic multi-use Swiss Army knife type unit. Yeah, I mean, we see her all the time, and we see her all the time for a really good reason. Aversa is incredible, and I think well worth taking all the way to plus 10. Moving on to the blue units, chat. Lukas. We all know what this man is about. He's about having gigantic defense and telling people that they never learn. He's currently using Aether because I inherited Steady Breath and Aether at the same time, but I think his double bonfire set is overall more effective. Lukas. The wall. The ultimate physical tank. However, doesn't need to be plus 10. If you want Lukas, I think you should definitely build one, and I think he definitely warrants some relatively premium inherits like Steady Breath, but he doesn't need to be plus 7. Or plus 7. He doesn't need to be plus 10. He does his job at plus 0. Yeah, exactly. Donald. This is a meme Donald. I've built my Donald in a very unconventional way. Yeah, that feel when talking, trying to read chat, exactly. I do think Donald's a great plus 10, though. I know a handful of people who use him as an AR mega tank, but he's got a flexible stat spread, a high BST for a Gen 1 3 and 4 star unit, and he's gonna get a personal weapon at some point. And whenever he gets it, it's probably gonna be really good. Donald and Lancers in general are phenomenal for AR because they can combine Casablanca and Null Counter Disrupt together. This gives them a dull all NCD set, which most other weapons cannot use. If you are looking for a budget or free-to-play friendly AR Omni Tank chassis, Donald's one of the best. Oh, it's dull range only? I thought it was dull all. Either way, still very good, right? Donald's one of the best. If you do want to build him that way, I would build him as a plus res Donald and give him all of the support you need. But this one's plus speed. He's more about melee dueling. FE. Even in 2019, you still have to respect the FE. However, like most sort of niche hard counter type units, she doesn't need to be plus 10. This FE would perform just fine at plus 0. Her only job is to kill armors with Gale Force. And you know, you don't need plus 4 to every stat to make that happen. You just need buffs and positioning. So while FE is a great unit, and I think everyone should again have one, you don't need to make her plus 10, and you don't really need to give her premium skills either. Noe. Like Donald, Noe is a fantastic budget AR Omni-Tank chassis. You can give her bonus doubler and NCD, and I guess now infantry breath support if you want, and just kinda steamroll the entire game. This is the classic 2017 Noe build, which is outdated. If I was going to use Noe again myself, I would switch over to plus speed, give her bonus doubler like I said, give her NCD. But yeah, Noe as a unit, well worth taking to plus 10. She likes scaling, and she's got a lot of really flexible builds and skill options. Legendary Tiki. She is a 180 BST legendary hero. Do I need to say anything else? Legendary Tiki is a duelist, anti-dragon sniper, and a score stick. Her job is to sit there and get you a bunch of points, and be pretty good at fighting during it. Now, Legendary Tiki is not the powerhouse unit that you might expect looking at her stats. Her personal weapon is kind of underwhelming in practice, but she's just really competent and well-rounded. She's good in every mode, and against any opponent that doesn't have a dedicated Dragon Slayer, she's probably going to be the best unit on the field. Reinhardt. It's the Reinhardt. Why do you build him? Because he's the Reinhardt. Right? This unit, more than almost any other, trivializes content in Fire Emblem Heroes, whether it's PvE or PvP. When paired with a dancer, Reinhardt just deletes things. You can use an AoE special like I am, or you can use a Quick Impulse Moonbow set, which is far more common. But yeah, Reinhardt kills things. He does it for cheap. Moving on to the greens. Big Daddy Serdar. Should you plus 10 Serdar? No. You should already have a plus 10 Serdar if you wanted one. The time to plus 10 Serdar was on his release banner. You should not be plus 10ing him on anything else. As is, Serdar is just a giant sack of meat. He gets you a bunch of points. And that's about it. Serdar is one of the most overrated units in the game, despite the fact that he's incredibly powerful, and were he not literally on sale, I don't think he would be worth the price. Am I happy that I have one? Absolutely. Do I use him in almost every piece of content in the game? Absolutely. Can I recommend that people drop everything and pull for Serdar in 2019? No. If he reruns on a 2-unit banner, yeah, sure, go for it. But I think IS is going to be a little smarter than they were last time, and they're going to make 2-unit banners very rare, if not non-existent. Sheena, the OG Omni Tank. The classic. Mixed bulk, access to armor skills, decent if kind of underwhelming stats in 2019. Sheena still holds up. I would not recommend building a new Sheena if you're starting from nothing, just because dual skills and general infantry power creep has left her largely outclassed. But if you want an armor and you don't want to invest in a premium armor, Sheena's one of the only options you have. If she wasn't so reliant on expensive skills, I would probably recommend her higher. But really, investing distant counter and fighter skills and weapon upgrades and specials and whatever else into a unit that caps out at like 50 attack at most? Come on, man. Without a special proc, she just doesn't kill anything. And even though I love Sheena, and she is for the people, if you want one, leave her at +0 and put her on the bench. Faye. Same logic as Noe here. Faye is an excellent, budget-friendly AR Omni-Tank chassis who scales well due to her high BST and access to infantry skills, and who gets only better as you start acquiring premium skills like Null Counter Disrupt, Bonus Doubler, and Infantry Breath on her supports. The nicest thing about Faye, compared to Noe, is that Faye scales up very well with your skill access, not just your merges. Noe really needs premium skills in order to be effective, at least in the current metagame. Faye, not so much. Faye's really high base res means that she is just overall very effective against anything that does magic damage, and while sure she's not going to tank Ophelia's without some support, you don't need to give her very expensive tools to do that job. As you get access to those premium skills, she just gets better, but she's probably like the best starter AR Omni-Tank. You should not use her on Astra Season because of Divine Fang and Enemy Naga, but if you're looking for a light Season Omni-Tank, Faye's really, really good. Murr. Murr is, like Zacchaeus, an amazing unit that I love using, that I cannot recommend that people build. She's just too expensive for what you get in 2019, and even though she shines in literally every piece of content that isn't fighting enemy armors, power creep is starting to leave her behind. Great Flame is very unreliable because it requires a 5 defense difference. And I don't know about you, but having 5 more defense than your opponent in a world where buff stacking is as powerful as it is right now is not very easy, right? You need a lot of support just to make Murr functional against anything that isn't PvE content. And at that point, you should be using an infantry Omni-Tank anyway, not a green flying dragon who needs to have 2 different weaknesses patched up to be effective. It doesn't help that Murr is dependent on using distant counter unless you decide to give her exactly Fortress Defense res. I guess you could use Steady Stance 4 as well, but I don't know, I'm not sold on that. So it's not like she's cheap to build even if you get a Murr. Unfortunately, Murr is not the type of unit that shines as a 5+0 because she wants to scale to be effective. I don't know. I love using Murr. She's adorable. She has great quotes. But yeah, I don't think it's worth building a new one from scratch in 2019. I'm going to keep using mine though. Julia. Do not build a Julia. I did this as a vanity project. I love using Julia. Divine Naga is outstanding. She has infantry skill access. She's a great Astra Omni-Tank. But come on, man. You can't afford to spend like 1,500 orbs or whatever on a +10 Julia just to have a slightly better Astra tank, right? If you do decide to invest in a Julia yourself, Divine Naga. It's the reason to. Dull all, for real this time, with a full in-combat steroid to every stat. Super reliable, very effective. infantry skill access for things like NCD, access to a dual skill if you want to put her on an arena team, and she's a powerful, effective damage dealing mage if you want to fit her into an AR IP stack. Good unit, can't recommend building her, gonna keep using her. Nino face, clap. Out of all of the launch units in the game, I think Nino has aged the best. She started off really good. She got better. She continues to get better. And there's kinda nothing that can stop her. Like Tharja, Nino is carried by the raw power of a personal blade tome, and synergy with Legendary Azura, synergy with IP stacks, good base stats, like she has 33-36 as a 3 and 4 star launch mage. What the hell, man? Using classic builds like Fury Desperation Moonbow. She's outstanding, right? Like, she does her best. And with only a little bit of support, she can go really, really far in every game mode, including Arena Assault, and definitely including AR. Always build Nino, yep. Personally, I think if you're looking for a first +10 to build out of the 3 and 4 pool, it should probably be Nino. Soren's not having as great of a time as he used to. He's still really good. He's an excellent cheerleader, but other mages are just more powerful because of better weapons, and getting access to chill spam has been made so much easier thanks to Chill Attack S that his weapon has lost its value, let's say. When we compare Soren to Nino, Nino has better stats, generally speaking. She has a better weapon. That's about it. If you want to build a +10 green mage, probably start with Nino. If you still want to have a cheerleader after that, then build Soren. But, I don't know. As of 2019 meta, I think you can give Soren a pass. And that is all of my +10s, chat. So that is all 20 of them. Any questions? Any memes? Hopefully this will put the, can you show all of your builds to rest? Mordecai when? Dude, hopefully sooner rather than later. I cannot wait to +10 Mordecai. He's going to be so much fun. Favorite unit, is it Lave attained? Absolute favorite unit right now? Lave attained. Like, Lave attained. Easy. Lave attained puts this game in the garbage, alright? Like, what else is there to say? What can stop Lave attained other than exactly hardy bearing units or like dazzling staves? Yeah, and obviously free to play, by the way. No, we're not free to play, by the way. Lave attained is probably the most satisfying character to use in the game. I do think she will lose a lot of value when Dull Close becomes more widely available. Like, for example, putting Dull Close on someone like Tibarn would really ruin Lave attained's day. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. So I'm not particularly afraid.